Hello everyone, this is Will from Apple 121 Training. Thank you for joining us for another video. We actually had a request from somebody to talk about the Apple Mail app a little bit more in depth so that people could have a better understanding of how to use it. And I've always kind of stayed away from Apple Mail because there's like a lot of personal information obviously in my Apple Mail, and it's hard to educate people while trying to block things. But I figured this one was pretty good, where we're just going to talk about how to just send a message and some of the features that are inside of sending a message that'll make things a little bit easier for you. Just simply working on how to send a message out with some features built into there that are macOS Tahoe related, but also how you can use your iPhone, how to get rid of like recent recipients, things like that. So we are going to go into more in-depth items other than the simple things that are normal in every other mail app. Please subscribe to our channel. We really do appreciate you guys joining us every time that we do one of these videos. And let's start diving into it. So in our mail message, obviously everything's kind of laid out very similar. Everyone understands to, CC, subject, where it's coming from, where you could have multiple accounts set up inside of Apple Mail, multiple inboxes. You have your bar over here, which allows you to format everything correctly. You can change it manually yourself, but you can also have a permanent setup for it. We're going to go inside of Mail's settings, and what we're going to first work on is a section here called Fonts and Colors. So now we're going to do a message font. We're going to go and we're going to change the font account. So if I hit select, what we're going to do now is go through and decide what I want to do. So if I could do big, Castellan, medium, 14, that's what it's doing right now. You can see it changed up here, but let's say I want to go higher. Just for the sake of this video, I want to go higher to 36. So now you can see the message will be much bigger, and this is a permanent change. So if I was to go back to my message here, let me see, I'm going to close it and reopen it. So now you can see big, medium, 36, and as I'm typing and I type hello, you can see that that has now taken as my default font. You can always go back to this by going to Mail Settings and again going back to Fonts and Colors. There's also a section for Message List Font and Fixed Width Font, which are separate sections that I would talk about at a different time. But the idea is to show you that you can make messages and set up a current font that you want to do. Also, in the future, you can also star it as well. So what that allows you to do is that if you decide down the line, you change it. Let's say I'm going to go to Bebes and then book, and then I'll do 14 as an example and close that off. Let's say, let's pretend we go back to it again. If I go select, under all fonts right here, there's a section called favorites, and all of your favorite fonts are automatically saved here. So that way you can come back to it later on. So I'm going to go to the big Castellan, medium, and then click. I don't have to go through all the steps of looking for the font. It's already right here. There is a search tool as well. So if you ever wanted to go back to all fonts and do like a search, so if you're looking for Arial as an example, so there's Arial, and then you can just click that. We're going to get back to settings in a little bit. And that's how you kind of mess around with this a little bit. But of course, you can manually change everything as well. Also, your favorites show up right here as well if you needed to go back to your favorites for any reason. Let's now talk about this toolbar at the top. So by default, Apple has like a default setup for this toolbar, but you could change it. And we've shown that in many other videos. If you just right click on it, there's an option there for icon and text, icon only. So if you just want to see the icons, or text only if you want to see just the text. Personally, always do text and icon. Go to Customize Toolbar, and now you can change this bar around. So you can see like they have these little squares right here. That's because it's considered what's called empty space, but you could drag it away and you can see it moves everything or shifts it all to the left. And then you can start adding things here to your toolbar. So like if you want to go and print this message, you can just drag it and it puts it right there. There's multiple things, including rich text, plain text, bigger and smaller. So if you go here to bigger and smaller, you could do that. And if I go to print, I could just print this page out if I have to. This is just an example of what you could do up here for the toolbar. The toolbar is very powerful, and you can just customize and come back to this, and you can even put more spaces in if you want to separate things a little bit more. You could do that. You could do flexible space, which is a much bigger space. So if you want to like put two items together and stuff like that. So you just have to go through this and decide what you want to do. You do have writing tools here as well, which is the AI Apple Intelligence features as well. So if I was to go and I say, welcome to the party, I hope you come, and then you could just Command A, select everything, and then writing tools will then pop up, and then you can go ahead and decide if you want to do like a friendlier version of the AI tools and There you go. It makes it a little bit better. Now, if you open Mail and you don't see the BCC field, well, that is because I turned that on. If you go under View, there is a section here for CC and BCC. Sometimes the BCC is not necessary, so I'm going to unhide that. But if you ever need to get the BCC there, you go to View, and then you go to BCC, and it'll always be there permanently as you continue your journey through Mail. If you have to go through your contact book, all the way to the right side, there is a plus sign, but I know a lot of people, a lot of times will start writing their people they're sending to. So for example, if I start typing the words, as you can tell, it autofills like everybody else's does. But what if there's somebody in your book that you no longer have to talk to? Because a lot of times when you type, you get a lot of people's email addresses, and sometimes you type them incorrectly and you want to get rid of them. Well, this is a secret tool that I wanted to talk about because you can't really erase it from here, but there is a section you can. Let's go up to Window, and there's a section here called Previous Recipients. What this does is that it opens up the previous recipients that you have emailed to, and the goal of this is that if you want to remove them from your list, you can. So for example, if there are people in your list here, you could just do the Shift key where I'm clicking one, Shift, click somebody else, and then there's a section called Remove from my list, and then there they go, and they are disappearing. You can also add them to the contacts. So if there's somebody here that you need to add, you could just add them right to your contacts right here. It also tells you the last used. So you can even organize that. So if I click on last used, it goes to the oldest to the newest. So that's how it's organized. So these are just examples of what you could do with the previous recipients list. You can also drag this. So sometimes emails could be much longer. Sometimes your box may not be looking exactly right. So you want to make sure you expand this and then just try to move these around. And then that way permanently you're kind of going to see them all in one window. And then you can go ahead in the future and remove them. Another great feature built in here is the attach feature. Now you can attach files that will go directly in your Finder, but there is a very unique feature that is with Apple Mail. Take photo, scan documents, and add sketch, and it's going directly to my iPhone. So we're going to show you now on my iPhone, I can actually scan documents and put them in as attachments. So if I click this, you can see that something appears on the screen, and now on my iPhone is showing up. And as you can see, it automatically has just taken a picture automatically without having me to do anything. It's actually, I'm not pressing any buttons here because it's scanning my desk and it's catching my son's drawing here, beautiful drawing here. But that's what it's doing. And then I'm going to stop this because it's going to keep doing this. But I'm going to hit the checkbox. And now that image is going to appear here. And if I open it up, you can see it's here 4 times. And how I'm doing that, by the way, is spacebar, in case you want to know. And that's what it does. It automatically, you could scan documents directly from your iPhone. Here, you can also just take a photo. So instead of scanning, take a photo. And now I can do the same thing. This time it's not going to automatically pitch it, but I'm going to go here. I'm going to press the button. There it is. I'm going to say use photo. And there we are. And now it has added it here as part of the message. So one of the main benefits, I think, using the Apple Mail app is this feature right here, where you can actually scan documents right away and actually send them. You can also do a sketch. So if you wanted to do a sketch on your phone, you could do that. I'm not going to go over that particular one, but it's exactly what it sounds like. So that is how you do attachments in here instead of sending a message. Also on the right side, you have of your from, you have your signature. So if you have a signature that you set up, you could do that. Under Mail, you go to Settings, and there's a section here called Signatures. Now I have made a signature automatically. So you go to the plus sign, you can add a signature. By default, it put my personal information up there, so I erased it for now. But you can go ahead and start typing things, and then you can go ahead and change that font. A lot of times what I tell people to do is to, because Apple's signature is not that great, go in like Notes or something and create it, and then move it over here. Like set the font up, set everything the way you want, and put it in here. But that's how you do a signature, and then that way it'll always appear here. If I go to my iCloud account, and I choose Video Download, and I say choose Signature, Video Download, it's going to put this entire text automatically into the message. I could also send this to like other accounts. So like I could take this to Apple One-to-One, and that is going to show up right there. Let's go ahead and close this. And then on the right side, I could do right here, Video Download, and then it puts that information in there. And then if I go to Edit Signatures, and then choose Signature, Video Download, that way it can automatically choose it going forward. That way I don't have to worry about doing it over and over and selecting it. All right, let's finish this up with another feature called Send Later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in our email address here. I'm going to do a test subject in here. Text is here. You can go to add images. So if you go to attach, you can attach photos. And it's going to open up my personal library of photos here that I can just drag right here. Great photo of me and my son. Awesome. And then we can do Send Later. So Send Later is to schedule a message to go out at a different time. If I click this, there's an option to send now, send at 9 p.m. tonight, or send later. If I hit send later, I could then choose the exact time that I want this to go out. That way you're not sending it at a certain time. This is very similar to how you could send text messages later. And that's what this feature is for. So you can say, I want to send it out later at 10 a.m. schedule. And then now the email went out, and that is how it's going to be scheduled. So make sure that when you're doing scheduling that you have that set up now, because the moment you hit the send later button, it's going to go. So just make sure everything is done. This would be the last thing you would hit. And by the way, in the toolbar, if you notice, I don't have a send button there. I'm just going to drag that from our toolbar right there. I kind of messed up my toolbar because I was set this up for you guys. So this is just simply how to send messages. I think this is a good starting point for everybody on here. You can go through and decide on things that you want to include, don't want to include. You can mess with the toolbar. You can go ahead and learn how to use the send later feature. You can go and do the attach and scan stuff on your device and send it out to people. So there is a lot of great tools here that I think are valuable for Apple Mail just to send messages. And we can get a whole bunch of other videos going on things that we can do in here. I haven't talked about Connection Doctor, which I think is very important. There are so many different things. There's a whole message section that we didn't even talk about in here. Like inside the message, there's a whole bunch of things you could do. You can like flag things or categorize things. There's a lot of things in here that will help you out. If you want to do lists, you could do that. There are a lot of things. So just wanted to give you the basic bones and some of the internal things that you could do inside of Apple Mail. I hope this was very valuable. Hope you guys got something out of this. Thank you very much, and I love every single one of you.